On my graduation day, my family handed me a final severance note from every one of us, my mother declared at the table. My sister filmed my silence for their fun. I smiled, pocketed the documents and left. They never suspected. WHAD I had already SCD in motion. The restaurant smelled of vanilla candles and roasted chicken, warm, inviting, almost celebratory. The kind of place families choose to mark milestones with laughter and clinking glasses. But the air around our table was thick enough to choke on. No amount of fragrance could hide the stench of what was really happening. They sat across from me, my mother, father, and sister, wearing expressions so tightly pulled they looked carved from stone. Their posture was too straight, too rehearsed, like actors who had practiced their lines in the mirror before the show. There was a strange glimmer in my mother's eyes. The kind people wear when they've already decided who the villain is and are eager to watch the performance unfold. She slid an envelope across the table with the slow, ceremonious grace of someone presenting a royal decree. "From every one of us," she said, her voice sharp enough to slice the air. My sister lifted her phone instantly, the camera positioned to catch my reaction, always filming, always collecting moments to laugh at later. Her smile wasn't even subtle. She wanted a breakdown, something dramatic, something she could replay on loop and share like a private joke among them. I opened the envelope. Not money, not a card, not congratulations. No warmth, no pride. Just cold paper and colder intentions. Inside was a disownment letter, typed, signed, stamped in unforgiving black ink. Each letter pressed so deeply it seemed carved into the page. I read it quietly. Every sentence felt like a punch delivered with perfect precision. According to them, I was unfit, ungrateful, disrespectful, a burden they no longer wished to carry. Such poetic cruelty, a neatly organized list of every false flaw they had ever projected onto me. My father didn't look up. He kept staring at his menu as if the words on those pages mattered more than the person who shared his blood. My mother folded her hands, satisfied. My sister whispered, "Smile for the camera." And so I did, but not the smile they wanted. No crack, no tremble, no fear. A calm, steady curve. A smile that made my sister's eyebrows twitch, just slightly, because she didn't get the reaction she was fishing for. I thanked them, folded the papers neatly, slipped them into my coat pocket, as if they were nothing but a receipt, and then I stood up. I didn't argue, didn't shout, didn't demand explanations. I left the restaurant without raising my voice once. My footsteps didn't falter, my breathing didn't shake. I walked as if I were the one in control, as if they had handed me something far more valuable than rejection. They watched me go with a strange mixture of triumph and confusion. To them, walking away quietly must have looked like defeat, like I was too weak to fight back, like they had won. They truly believed they had taken something from me. But people like them don't understand the simplest truth. You cannot take what someone already learned to live without. What they didn't know, what they couldn't begin to imagine, was that tonight wasn't a loss for me. It was confirmation, permission, closure, because I had already taken steps long before this evening, quiet steps, careful steps, calculated steps, steps hidden beneath the same smile they mocked, the one they mistook for weakness. They had no idea they were playing a game whose ending I had written months ago. I stepped out of the restaurant and into the cold night air. The wind brushed against my face with the gentleness of something welcoming me back to myself. The city lights stretched into long, glowing streaks, as if the world had blurred around me, making space for a new beginning. For the first time in years, my breath didn't feel heavy, it felt light, free, like I had been holding a weight for far too long and finally dropped it without looking back. I walked down the street slowly, letting the night settle around me. Cars passed, laughter drifted from open windows. People moved on with their lives, unaware that somewhere behind me, at a fancy table under warm lighting, 3 people believed they had ended something, but what they ended was not me. What they ended was their illusion of control, their imagined superiority, their comfortable belief that I needed them, They didn't know not. Yet that disowning me wasn't a victory, it was the trigger. Because the truth is simple. People like them aren't betrayed in one moment. They are undone. Slowly, patiently, precisely. And their undoing had already begun. They just didn't know that the moment I walked out of that restaurant, the first domino had already fallen. I didn't look back. Once. Not at the door. Not at the warm lights. Not at the life I was leaving behind. Some chapters aren't meant to be revisited. Some endings aren't meant to be mourned. And some gifts, like the one they gave me tonight, are the kind that begin stories they will wish they had never started. My parents believed they had raised me powerless. A child built to obey, to apologize, to shrink into corners. But years of neglect create a different creature, a quiet observer. Someone who listens more than they speak. Someone who watches patterns like a hunter studies prey. I had learned long ago that my family didn't love me. But I also learned something more important. Their lives were built on lies. My father ran a business big enough to look respectable, small enough to hide dirty things between ledgers. My mother managed the accounts, and my sister, she lived off their illusion. Designer bags, private tutors, fake achievements, all funded by money that didn't belong to them. And I, the burden, worked part-time jobs, studied alone, built scholarships piece by piece, and somehow graduated. They couldn't stand the fact that I succeeded without them. 3 months before that dinner, I hacked into my father's system. Not to steal money, no. That would make me like them. I only needed the truth. And the truth was catastrophic. Hidden transactions, illegal exports, ghost employees, tax fraud, bribes, years of rot. Sealed behind a password a child could guess, my sister's name. I didn't report anything immediately. Revenge isn't impulsive. It's surgical. I compiled every file, organized them cleanly, beautifully, created an anonymous digital trail impossible to trace back to me, and I waited. Their disownment letter wasn't a wound. It was permission. After I stepped out of the restaurant, I walked exactly 3 blocks, sat on a bus bench, and uploaded everything, every document, every transfer, every manipulated ledger to 3 different places. 1. A private journalist I trusted. 2. A government investigator who had been chasing shadows for years. 3. An online leak database with millions of daily viewers. Within 24 hours, headlines exploded. Local business under investigation for major financial crimes. Family-owned company linked to illegal transactions. Authorities raid home of reputed businessman. Their empire didn't crumble. It imploded. My father was arrested. First shock still frozen on his face in the viral footage. My mother tried to scream her way out of handcuffs. My sister cried online, pretending she also was a victim. Nobody believed her. By the 3rd day, the house I once lived in was empty. Their assets frozen. Their reputation shredded beyond recognition. And me? I sat in my small apartment, sipping tea, watching karma unfold in high definition. People always asked me, "Don't you feel guilty?" But guilt requires love, and their disownment letter had made something beautifully, refreshingly clear. I owed them nothing. The city was quiet that night as I walked to my window. Outside, the world moved on, unaware that a war had ended without a single drop of blood. In the reflection of the glass, I saw myself not the child they had tried to break, but the person who rebuilt himself from the leftover shards. A knock on my door startled me. I opened it to find a brown envelope on the floor, no sender name. Inside was a small card. "Your information was invaluable. Justice served. Congratulations on your graduation." A slow smile spread across my face. In the restaurant that night, they had given me their final rejection. But tonight, the world gave me something far sweeter. Closure. And as I placed that card next to their disownment letter, the realization settled in my chest like a calm fire. They never suspected. They never imagined. They never understood. I didn't lose a family. I removed a threat. Subscribe Revenge on Less channel. Thanks for watching.